start. I think this is what I want to open. Yes. I'll just say done. Okay, guys, a very warm welcome to my lesson for today, where we are going to be starting with mathematics. So, guys, in case if you need to make a comment, I'm sure on your screen there must be a button where you can click on the charts. That's where you can send a message in the form of a text. Otherwise, in case if you need to raise a hand, you can just click on there. And again, there must be some way you can click to just unmute yourself. You can see there on mine, it says mute. I was muted, so I just unmuted myself. So what I did was to mute all of you and make it impossible for you guys to unmute, just so that we are not being disturbed by the background noise. So what I'm going to do now, ask all to unmute. Guys, before we start, can you confirm if everything is clear on your side? You can mute and let me know if you can see my screen and if everything is okay.
Yes, you can see.
Okay, 100%.
But now it's black.
Okay, I'll just say yes. Okay, then it's fine. So guys, in today's lesson, we are going to start with the starters. My assumption is that all of you next year are going to be doing grade 10. So we are just going to start with the basics, but towards the end of whatever that we are going to be doing, the main aim is to make sure that you are able to answer all these questions. Of course, in the presence of myself, I will take you through each of those questions. But before we can start with answering these questions, I will first have to take you through an introduction so that you've got an idea of what is expected of you. So I'll just take that away and I will start with just a few examples. So let's see. Let me choose a color there. Maybe I'll go with that. Okay, I'll choose that. Maybe it's too thick. Okay, now I see it's actually because of the zoomed in too much. What do I want to do now? Maybe that. Let's see. Okay, that is fine. Maybe that. Okay. So guys, the first thing that we are going to start with is the product of two binomials. Remember guys, when we mention the word product in mathematics, we are simply referring to things being multiplied. The sum would be things added together. But in this case, we're going to be focusing on the product. The product of what? Of two binomials. This is what we are going to be focusing on. So two binomials, honorable members, because we specified to say two, that means there could be one, there could be two, there could be three. Maybe let's have a look at what a monomial would look like. So when you have, let us say it could be a, we minus 3 with close bracket. We call this a monomial. And then if we have another one similar to that, it could be different values inside. Let's say a that we plus it with 7b. We therefore call this a binomial. It is 1, 2, which is the two of what? Binomials. But when it is 1, it is monomial. So now we mentioned the product, meaning we are going to be multiplying some things. So there is an order in which we do the multiplications. I will just give you a very simple example to say, if let's say we have A, that we plus it with a B. Again, let's have A, that we plus it with B. So the order in which we multiply the binomials, you start with the first term, you multiply the first term on the other monomial. You do the same with the other value. Then again, that second term, you multiply it by that, and then you multiply that by that. This is the order that we follow in order to do the multiplications. Trust me, honorable members, what can be confusing is when you have complicated values inside and you have to multiply them together, which is what we are going to be training you on. So every time when we do a math problem, honorable members, very much important to understand which part of it is complicated, which part of it is confusing, which part of it are you most likely to make mistakes, and then we will then discuss all of those in detail. But for now, do not worry that much. All that you need to do, especially for this first example, is just to look at how I do these. Most importantly, you may find that you've done this type of problems many times in your grade 9. So this is where we start, honorable members, as we approach some more complicated problems. So just be aware that every time we might be doing something and it might seem to be way too simple, just know that it's in preparation for some more difficult problems, so that when we explain those complicated math problems, we can refer back to these simple math problems. So very quickly, let me try work out this, and then from there we will see how to continue. But before I go deeper, I would like to just check if we are all together up to this point. So remember, guys, in case if you've got a question, you just unmute yourself and then you ask a question. I can see the screen. I can't unmute. There's a lot of background noise. I think the background noise is no longer there. Let me just check. I will just ask all to unmute. Guys, are we all okay up to this point? Ungabe konke kuhamba kahle?
Kuhamba kahle.
Awande ayanda buikanyo lehlohonolo
Yes, sir.
lekako siba William. Zote zochimbula zwavhuḓi ne?
Dzi tshimbila zwavhuḓi.
Okay. So I'm going to mute. Let me say yes. Let's continue. Okay. What I wanted to do, I think it was to remove all of these and start to work out that problem. Guys, I'm very much impressed that you guys did attend today. What I would like to confirm to you is that during my time, honorable members, before I went to grade 10, I had to take my books. I remember I went to visit my parents. I had to take my textbook so that I could study in preparation for grade 10. And I did myself a very big favor, because when I got to grade 10, my understanding was on another level. I would be able to ask relevant questions because I did some things and I already knew what was confusing me, and I already knew where we were going for each and every chapter. Very much important, honorable members, that you've got an overview of where you are going, so that before you get there, you know that everything that you need to understand, you do understand. Because what happens in most of the times is that you do a topic, you don't know what's important in that topic. So whatever that you do not understand, it becomes difficult to even explain what you do not understand. Some things you can be told, you know about them, but you do not have an idea of how the question will come, and how you make use of the information that you have in order to answer the questions, which is what we are going to be training you on, honorable members. And I can confirm to you that I did not only do that when I was going to grade 10, because now I was developing passion to study some more. Before I went to grade 11, I did the same. Studying during December time, January, I did the same before I went to grade 12. And trust me, when I got to grade 12, around March, I was already done with my matric. I was just waiting for the end of the year to write. Then what I did, it was just to teach my fellow classmates everything that I've been learning during December time. Not that I was mad, honorable members, but with me sharing the information with the honorable members being my classmates, I was then able to understand these things even much better. So that's how I became good with mathematics and physical sciences. And I also got distinctions in those, honorable members. And not only those, but that includes life sciences and geography. So that is why I'm saying I'm very much impressed because you guys are going to be going through a journey that I went through, but you won't experience the difficulties that I went through because I never had a tutor. I had to figure out everything on my own. So I hope that a short testimonial, honorable members, it will encourage you to make sure that you continue to attend until you open at schools. Okay, so now let's see, honorable members, exactly what I'm taking you through is what I did in the past. So remember, this is A. We said we follow the format. So that means it is going to be that A multiplying that A. The question now is, when you multiply A by A, does it become 2A? Does it become A times A? Does it become, maybe A squared? So in class, honorable members, they just say A times A, it is A squared. They say A times that, for example, they can say 7A B. We will come to the part of the sign. But because you do not understand where maths comes from, it might be difficult to understand why, when we multiply A by A, why is it not 2A? Why is it not A times A? Why is it, or is it not A squared? So I'm going to deviate for a moment, honorable members. I am just going to deviate for a moment, and I would like to encourage you to forget about all of this that I'm hiding, which is where I'm going to start the lesson for today. Trust me, honorable members, what I'm going to teach you now, you will never find in school. You will only find it with me, the honorable members. It is not there in the textbook, but it's something that I realized over the times. And I would like to share this with you to say, katle, katle, where does maths come from? What makes mathematics? What is it that is being put together to make what is called maths? Honorable members, it is three things, only three. What are those things? Number one, it is the science. That is number one. Number two, what is it? It is the numbers. And you won't believe when I say it is just 10 numbers that we have. Okay, what is the third thing that makes mathematics? It is the letters, honorable members. Trust me, guys, if you can understand me on this part, you will never go wrong with mathematics. You will fully understand every time you see a math problem to say, this is part of that, this is part of that, this is part of that. There's nothing else other than these three things that they use to form equations, math problems, and everything related to maths. Not complicated signs, honorable members. The signs that you know from primary. We have a plus sign, we have a minus sign, multiplication, division. Maybe when you get to high school, they introduce the brackets. They are also then primary, and then there is that division sign. You see that division sign of something over something. And again, there could be that type of a division sign. For example, you got 90 out of 100, the forward slash. Guys, we also have this type of signs: less than, greater than, less or is equals to, greater or is equals to. Maybe let me give you the last sign because there are many, but I'll just limit it to these signs: is equals to. This is a math sign, honorable members. They make use of these signs to form math problems. Okay, maybe let's move on to the numbers, honorable members. Which numbers are we talking about? It is just 10 numbers. And you won't believe it, honorable members, when I say every number that you can think of, it is made of these 10 numbers. What are those numbers? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Guys, all the numbers that I know, all the numbers that I've known are made of these 10 numbers. Someone might be wondering, what about 11? 11 is the combination of 1 and 1. What about 130? 130, it is the combination of 1, 3, and 0. Okay. What about negative 34? Guys, negative 34 is the combination of a negative sign, the combination of 3 and a 4. So since on the signs I said this is a minus, let me add on to that and say we also have a negative. So that means there's a minus and a negative. They do the same thing, but we interpret them differently depending on what you are given. So it is very much important that when the teacher says this is negative 3 and they say this is minus 3, you need to know and understand the difference. You are not born knowing all these things, honorable members. Everything that you do not know, it's not your fault that you do not know. It is because you were not taught. It only becomes your fault if you forget what you've been taught. How can you forget? That's if you do not practice regularly. Whether you are smart or not, honorable members, if you keep on practicing, you will never forget. That's how we learn. Okay, I will just remove this and then we continue. Looks like someone has got their mics unmuted. Guys,
Oh.
maybe let me move. Sbongile. Maybe let me say, no, I don't want to say yes. I want to say no, so that you will not be able to unmute yourself. So that means only when I get to that point where I need to check up on you if we are all okay, then I will do so. Okay, I hope on that part of the numbers we are together, honorable members or members who are honorable. So now when it comes to the letters, guys, I just know from A up to Z. These are the numbers that I know, not the numbers, but the letters. Meaning, if you are given something which is called a term, it could be 2p, it could be 3x, it doesn't matter whether it is y squared. At the end of the day, this is a combination of these three things, honorable members or members who are honorable. So that means you've got a letter combined with a number. You've got a number combined with a letter. You've got a letter combined with a number to form a term. Okay, let me give you another example. If we have 2 that we plus it with, let's say, m, and they say this is equals to 4. This is a math equation, honorable members. This is a math problem. What did they take to combine and form a math problem? They took a number, honorable members. They took a sign. They took a letter. They took a sign. There is a number. and they formed a maths problem. So a question that you are most likely to be asked, it is to solve for the unknown. What is represented by the unknown, honorable members? Always in mathematics, letters represent the unknown. What does it mean? For example, instead of us saying what is 2 plus is equals to 4. You see that part, it's what we don't want. We don't want a situation where we say what is 2 plus it's equals to 4. Instead of us saying then we use the letters. Which letter do you like? Okay, since my name starts with a letter D, then we can say what is 2 plus a D? It's equals to 4. Meaning we want to know what is actually the value of D. If your name is Mandla, then you can use letter M. So my assumption has always been that if maybe they put P, it means the person who derived that equation, their name was Philippe, and they used letter P because their name starts with a letter P. So in simple terms, we are trying to say, what is 2 that you plus it with that unknown number and it will be equals to 4. Already we know that it is 2. Already we know that when you take 2 and you plus it with 2, it is equals to 4. But when you just give that 2 without proving mathematically, it's like you were guessing, because someday if they give you something like that, maybe let's say, let's say 2x plus 7 is equals to 19. It might not be easy to tell what is that value there. So that's why we need to follow mathematical steps in order to prove how we got to that answer. For example, for this simple equation, if we want to prove that indeed that D, it is 2, this is what I always say. Letters one side, numbers one side. When we solve a math equation, we always want to have the letters on the left equal sign the numbers on the right. So that means if you are given that equation, leave the letters on the left. So that means it is D that we are going to leave on the left. All the numbers, move them to the right side of the equal sign. Already we have 4, but now we need to transport this 2. So when it crosses the border, it must change the currency. So that means if it is positive on this side, when it crosses the border, it must change from rands to Zim dollar, for example. So that means from positive to negative. So now, what is 4 minus 2? Is it not 2? So that is how you mathematically prove that D is equals to 2. So if you want to be a lawyer, honorable members, you don't just come to court and say, Your Honor, this one is guilty. No. You need to prove it, honorable members. Somehow you need to prove it. You can make use of the evidence that was gathered to say, at this time, this honorable member was in this location, but based on his statement, he says this is where he was and around this time. So it is highly impossible, Your Honor, that to walk or drive or use a train from this location where his phone tells us that he was in this location. There's no way he could travel from this location to this location where he says he is. Why? Because South African roads says you can drive at a maximum of 120 kilometers per hour. So if you have to drive at that maximum speed, it will take you 7 hours to get to this location. So there is no way he moved from this to be at this location within an hour. And it is for that reason, Your Honor, I'm going to present this evidence to you that this person is lying about their location. We do have proof that this is where he was. He posted on his Facebook at this time, or he was live on his Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever at this time, and this is the location where they were. So that's how you prove, honorable members. That's if you want to be a lawyer. I'm just giving an example. If you want to be an engineer, honorable members, just like myself, I'm not a teacher by profession, but I studied civil engineering at UJ. I'm just good in mathematics and physical sciences. And reason to that, it's what I've explained earlier on to say, I had to learn these things on my own. So that's why I excelled in civil engineering, even though, honorable members, you might not believe I did get distinctions and all of that, but my first test at UJ, I got 3%. I will explain to you what happened at a later stage. But for now, honorable members, just be aware that it doesn't matter whether you are smart or how smart you are. When you get to tertiary, it is the discipline that works. Meaning, if you have the ability to study on your own and not rely on your teacher to push you, not rely on your tutor to push you, not rely on your parents to push you to study. If you have that ability to say, I'm going to study, I need to understand this topic, and I'm going to struggle. And as I struggle, I'm going to go to my tutor, I'm going to go to my teacher and ask the question for them to explain to me until I understand this thing. If you have that ability, honorable members, when you get to tertiary, it's going to help you because your lecturer is there to assist you. They are not there to teach you. They're there to assist you. What they are going to do, it is to say, guys, I want 1, 2, 3 on these days at this time, and these are the marks allocated for the project. It's all up to you where you start, how you do it, and all of that. So there's no one who's going to be pushing you, honorable members. So that is why you need to develop the passion to study while it is early. Very, very much important, honorable members. So I'm pretty much sure that you did understand my example there. But now, before we get back to the business of the day, I need to explain to you what exactly a term is, so that when we multiply A by A, you know how to write it. When you multiply A by B, you know how to represent it. When you multiply a letter by a number that is a letter, you know exactly how to write it. Because very much important, honorable members, that you are able to interpret these things to detail. Not a situation where they say when you multiply A by A, this is what it gives you, but you don't know why are you writing it that way. Where is the rule that says when you multiply this by this, it has to be that? That's what I want to explain to you, honorable members, so that when we go deeper, at least you've got an idea to say, if we take this and we combine it with this is how we write it. If we add this with this is how we write it. And you also need to understand why you can't write it in certain ways. Very much important, honorable members, because when you are given a problem which is already combined or multiplied, or it looks complicated, at least you know where it is coming from. You know how it is structured. And that thing is what we call a term. Okay, I'm about to explain a term, but before I do that, let me just check if the honorable members are still there. And again, if we are still on the same page. I think what I want to do, it is to unmute. Guys, if you are a vendor, Zulu, whatever, just speak in your language so that I've got an idea of where you guys are. Nake mopedi, bantu bakithi. Guys, are we okay?
Mtsonga.
Mtsonga. Famba kahle.
Hayi a ndzi fambi vona ha ri kona.
Mara ziyatsifa utsifa man insako ziyatsifa. Buikanyo, Manga.
I'm good.
Are we okay?
Yes. Okay.
Litlholo.
Yes.
O lokile ka moo ne?
Eh.
Okay. Goodest. So now this is what I'm going to explain, honorable members or members who are honorable. Remember, guys, this is Parliament. We are discussing issues of national importance. You guys are the future of this country. I don't want a situation, honorable members, where I need medical attention in future, and you are a medical doctor, and I come to your surgery, and you don't even know how to hold a Caesar, honorable. I don't want that situation. So we need to invest in your education so that you become the better future, you become better than us, honorable members, so that you can be able to look after us when we are getting older. So just make sure that you invest much of your time in your education, honorable members. I will tell you this before I continue. You guys, if you're going to be in grade 10 next year, that means you have 3 years, 1, 2, 3 years to prepare for the rest of your life. Imagine if after you finish your grade 12, God bless you with another 70 years to live. So imagine if you waste these 3 years, honorable member, you are going to struggle for that 70 years. Trust me on that one. You are going to struggle for that 70 years. Um, Towards the end of January, we're going to have a career guidance. It's going to be done online. Some of you already know because we did it in the past. But for those of you who do not know, we're going to invite a speaker who's going to give you a picture of how life looks like after matric with bad and good results. I will just leave it at that for now, honorable members. But let me continue and explain to you what is meant by a term in mathematics. A term, honorable members, it has these things and it is structured in this format. Number one, it is a sign followed by a number. A number that you guys know as, what is it? Okay, I'll come back to that. For now, let me keep it simple. A sign, a number, then we have a letter, and lastly, an exponent. Exponent. So when I took a pause, honorable members, that time, I didn't want to say it, but now let me say it. What I refer to as a number in this case is what you guys know as a coefficient. And then a letter as a variable. I'm sure you guys are aware of those two weights. Okay, let me give you guys something and then I will expand on that. And if there are questions, I will give you guys an opportunity to ask me some questions based on what a term is. And then from there, we will then continue with what we started. If we have 2x, already we know that this is a term. Let's now try to interpret this term. What is the sign of this term? Honorable members, the sign is an invisible positive. Every term has a sign. Listen very carefully. Every term has a sign, meaning every term will start with a sign followed by a number, and then if a letter is there, we can see the letter, which could be A, anything up to Z. An exponent will always be there. But this one, I will write it with a different color because it depends whether it is there or not. But 1, 2, 3 will always be there on every term. Let's interpret this term called 2x. What is the sign? Invisible positive. What is the number or coefficient? It is 2. Does it have a letter or a variable? Yes. What is it? It is x. What is the exponent? It is invisible positive 1. This is a term in full. Another example. Let us say we have y to the exponent 3. Let's interpret this term based on what I've explained to you. What is the sign of this term, it is invisible positive. What is the number or the coefficient? Invisible 1. So that means things which are invisible in mathematics, it is a positive sign and the number 1. Okay, I'll give an example. I never forget this example. It was explained to me by my math teacher who was very good. He said, if you go to the shop and you buy, let's say you're going to buy bread and you come across a goat and they ask you at home, they say, what did you pass on your way to the shop? You won't say one goat. No. You won't say one cat. No. You won't say one cow. No. You won't say one rat. No. You will just say a cow. Automatically, when you say a cow, we know that it's one cow. Only if it's more than one, then you need to specify. So that is why this one is invisible. We just know that it is one yellow. But the moment it's more than one, then you need to write two. Then you need to write three, or whatever the case may be. But if it is one, no need to say one white. That is why the one is there, but it is invisible. Similarly, with the sign positive, you don't need to write it if it is positive. You only write if it's negative. But if it's positive, no need to write it. We know it is there as invisible positive. So can you guys see? We do have the sign, the number or the coefficient being 1, the letter being y, and then the exponent being positive 3. Okay, last example. Let us say you have negative x. Yes, let us interpret this term by using all this information that I've given you to interpret the term. So I will give you guys a question for someone to interpret a term for us. This is what you need to do. You first start with the sign. You say, what is the sign of this term? So that means we have a negative sign. Let's go to the number or the coefficient. It is invisible, 1. What about the variable or the letter? It is letter x. What about the exponent? Invisible, positive 1. Guys, let me tell you something very much important. The reason now why when you have, let's say, P and you multiply that P by another P, the reason why you write it how you know you must write it, it's because the invisible 1 multiplies invisible 1 and then it becomes invisible 1 there. And then letter multiplies a letter. So when it comes to the letters, you write the number of those letters there at the top. So when we say P multiplied by P, it is the number multiplying the number, the letter multiplying the letter. That's how it works. When you have 2P multiplying another P, it's not 2P multiplying P. No. Mathematically, it is 2 multiplying invisible 1. Number multiplies a number. So 2 times 1, it is 2. Letter multiplies a letter, and then it becomes a P2. I will train you on the rules regarding why we are having that over there, being the laws of exponents. But for now, let's not go deep. On our next lesson, surely we will be going deeper. Okay, I think that's what I wanted to explain to you guys. But very quickly, can someone, a brave, honorable member of the opposition party, can someone just interpret for me? Mm, yes. Anyone who would like to interpret for me that given term? Just raise your hand, honorable member. Check on your screen. Somewhere you can click to raise your hand, or you can just comment in the comment section. Anyone who wants to interpret that term. Otherwise, choose maskete. Titelo Makua. Makua. Ask Makua to unmute. Titelo. Arbulele muna. Arbulele titelo. Wankwa titelo.
Like the signs and numbers and...
Yes, exactly how I explained it, honorable member. We explain ajua muna titelo. Wena mupedi mos. Umukaya wena titelo mos.
Okay, the sign is positive.
Okay. Let me do that. I want to write it down as you explain. So you're saying the sign is positive. Okay, continue.
The number is 3/4.
Okay, the number is 3/4. Continue.
Letter is K and exponent is -2.
The letter is K. 100%. 100%. That's exactly how you interpret a term, honorable members. That's what I wanted to achieve. But wait, am I not breaking? Because you were breaking a bit. Now I'm curious to know if I was breaking. Guys, was I breaking? Ntsako, I'm going to make you the co-host, honorable members. So that means yourself, you are able to unmute yourself if you want to. And then every time when I break, you will just unmute and let me know. Ntsako Mabunda, did you hear me, honorable member? Try to unmute.
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Okay, and was I breaking or was I okay throughout?
No, you're okay. You're not breaking.
Okay. Okay. Then it's fine. Let's see. What are we seeing? Okay, guys, any questions for me regarding everything that I've explained up to this point, especially that part of where the mass comes from, what makes a term, and how do we represent a term? Any question? Or are we okay?
Okay, thank you.
Wakushisha man.
Eh,
Okay, Oscar chawa kuchisha nya.
eh,
Apo ka ruchile mna letlhonolo. Kano ka ruchile.
I was a choose.
Okay, good. Ayanda, Buikanyos iPhone, Buikanyo. There's manga on the line. Mhlongo Bongi as well. Guys, are we okay? Any questions up to this point? Ntsako?
So far, so good.
So far, so good. Okay. Remember, guys, this lesson is being recorded, meaning at a later stage, in case if you need to watch it again, you will be able to do that. And then if you develop some questions, then we will look into those on our next lesson. Just make sure to note them down. Then on our next lesson, we will look into those. Okay, then now it's fine. Let's try to now continue with the business of the day. So I said we are having A that you multiply with A. So can you guys remember, we know how to interpret A. If it's just A, there's invisible one, there's the letter, there's invisible positive. We don't forget that there's invisible one there. So that means when it comes to A times A, it's 1 multiplying 1 being 1 as invisible 1. A multiplying A, how many A's we are having? 2 A's. And then now we move on to A multiplying a 7B. So remember, on A we have invisible 1. So it's like 1 multiplying 7, it becomes 7. But remember, the 7 has a positive sign. So that's why we start with a positive there, because it is positive 1 multiplying positive 7, and that becomes 7. What about letter A times letter B? It becomes letter A, B. They are not the same letters. That's why you write them as A, B. Only if they are the same letters, you don't need to write it as A times A, but you write it as 2A's. We know that is 2A's, which will multiply together. Okay, so now we move on to this times that. So can you guys see? It is a -3. Remember, if you have a term like that, we say the sign is negative, the number is that. In this case, there is no variable, no letter. That means we just have an exponent there as invisible 1. So now that we are multiplying -3 times that positive A, trust me, it's like we are having -3 where we are multiplying it by invisible 1A. So the number multiply the number. What is -3 times 1? Trust me, it is -3. And then the A does not have another letter to multiply with. That's why it just
Okay, we've lost you there. There's no sound anymore.
Hello, I come back. Guys, I did notice that I was disconnected for a moment. Sengibuyile manje. Sengibuyile manje. I think what I need to do it is to share my screen. I assume it has disappeared. Let's see. Ntsako, how about now? Is everything okay now? Can you guys see there?
Yes, we can see.
Okay. Ntsako, being the deputy speaker, said it is clear now. Okay, so I was saying now we are multiplying -3 times A. So it obviously becomes -3A. Then we multiply that -3 by positive 7B. Obviously, -3 times 7. I just know that 7 times 3 is 21. And because of that negative, it becomes -21. Obviously, there is B, and then it becomes that. So, guys, I'm going to tell you a secret of where to start in mathematics. Always, the main thing that we want to do in mathematics, it is to remove the brackets. That's what we want to do. That is why we had to do that by that, that by that, that by that. Main aim was to remove the brackets. After removing the brackets, the next thing that comes, it is to work on the like terms. That is the next thing that we want to do. So we check if we have another a squared. No, it's not there. Do we have another ab? No, it's not there. Do we have just a to the exponent of invisible 1? No, we don't have that. What about where we have just b to the that? No, we don't have that. So it looks like there's nothing much that we can do. It just ends there. There is nothing more that we can do on that one, because we don't have any more like terms, unless if I missed something. This is where I'm going to invite you guys to carefully look into that and check where I could have made a mistake, or verify if what I've done it is correct. So that's how we learn, honorable members, by making those mistakes. After making every mistake, you need to know what made you to make that mistake. Okay, now I'm going to then unmute so that you guys let me know if what I've done is correct or if there is a mistake. Guys, I'm listening. Where is the mistake or is it correct?
Yeah, the expansion is correct.
No mistake.
Yes.
There's no mistake. It's correct.
Okay. So guys, I'm just going to make you aware that not everything that you do, especially when you practice, not everything that you do has to be correct. The most important part of it not being correct is that you need to be able to identify your mistakes. If you can master that one, trust me, honorable members, everything that you do, you already know where you're most likely to make a mistake. And then you start to be careful on that part. And also, in case if your final answer does not make sense, you know where to start when you have to check for your mistakes. So let's pray by all means that as we do these things, we make as many mistakes as we can. Trust me, honorable members. I think there's no one who has ever made more mistakes than I did when I was in high school. And I had to make it my business that every time when I do a math problem, I give myself a chance to make a mistake. So the only way I can know if I made a mistake, I have to do the same thing many times and compare the answers. If one of the answers is not the same, it means somewhere there's a mistake. Then I need to go and find that mistake. Once I find that mistake, then I know that this is where you're most likely to make a mistake. So even when you give me the answers or you respond, give yourself a chance to make a mistake, honorable members. With you making a mistake, you also help me to explain to others next time to say, this is where you're most likely to make a mistake. So please, honorable members, not everything that you say has to be correct. If I ask you a question and you're not sure, but you've got an idea, just say it as it is, honorable members. That's how I'm able to get your mind and understand what you understand, what you know, and then I'll be able to assist you accordingly. I'm now going to do a very quick one where you may be given something similar to that. Something similar to that, and then they want you to expand that. So this is when we are squaring a binomial. Okay, so that two, honorable members, this two, it means two of the same thing. Just like when you have a squared thing, it means two of the same thing. That means if it was 3, it would mean 3 of the same thing. If it was 17, it would mean 3 of, 17 of the same thing. That's what that squared or that 2 means. So in other words, it means 2 of the same thing. So I will rewrite this as 2 of the same thing. So now we are back to that. Then we just do that by that, that by that, that by that. Remember, in mathematics, we want to remove the brackets. So m times m, it becomes m squared. Remember, there's that invisible one. No need to write it. M times n. This is where I'm going to give you an advice. As you write that, honorable members, when you multiply a letter by a letter, when you write, start with the letter that comes first alphabetically. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S. Yes. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, M, L. Okay, between M and N, what comes first? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N. Okay, that means it's M. Meaning, you are going to start with M, then N after. Very much important, honorable members. You might be laughing there that for me to know I have to sing that. But you will see why it is very much important. Now you have to say this times that. So can you see? You now compare between N and M, which one comes first? Then you will then write M and then N, and then when it gets to that, you will say N squared. Why is it important to start alphabetically? Another one was going to say, since you're multiplying M by N, then it is MN. Now, since you're multiplying N by M, then they are going to say it is NM. Then when it comes to working out the like terms or the groupings, it now looks like this and this is not the same thing. It is the same thing, honorable members. How do we prove it? It's like when you say 2 times 4. It is the same as 4 times 2. It's just that the 4 is on the other side of the multiplication. So to avoid all of that, honorable members, write them in the order of alphabets. You will never go wrong. There's an honorable member last year who was in grade 12. They were struggling with this type of things, but in those more complicated problems. And I just had to explain this to say, write them alphabetically. Trust me, honorable members, his life changed completely just because of knowing that, the order. So now you will then be able to know that, okay, you've got that. You also have 2 of these, isn't it? So that means you have 2 of M, N. And lastly, you've got that does not have its cousin or its friend or its family member. It looks like the grouping is done. We cannot do more of the grouping. Guys, that's all. The other honorable members are going to be joining now. Your lesson should be done. But let me check. Are we all okay, honorable members, up to this point? Did you guys understand what I've explained?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Okay, then it's
Yes,
fine. What you
sir.
can do, it is to take a screenshot of this and be aware that on our next lesson, straight away, we are going to be dealing with these problems. We will not be going back to this lesson that we did, but we'll straight away focus on these problems. So all of you guys who started at 6 o'clock, you may now leave the court as we continue with the other honorable members who are supposed to attend at 7 o'clock. Hope you guys did enjoy. So what I'm going to do, there's a message which came through. Yes, I'm good on my side. Okay. So what do I want to do? I think what I want to do, it is to, I don't want to that. Let me say no. Okay, what I'm going to do, I actually want to stop this live so that it doesn't continue. Maybe let me first stop sharing, and then how am I going to stop this live? Okay, guys, just in case if you're not aware, I was conducting a grade 10 lesson, and then I started with the recording. So we did not end the lesson before it had to end. So now the lesson is continuing to record. Okay, then it's fine. I will just continue with this lesson. It will just be one recording. It's fine. It's fine. What is it that I want to do now? I think what I want to do, it is to just check if we are all okay. What do I want to do? I think maybe I want to share my screen, but before I do that, let me just prepare the screen so that it talks more about what we are going to be dealing with in today's lesson. Okay, the other thing that I need, that Okay, I'll need to get to that page number. Okay. No, not that. Okay. Okay. I think I did get what I was looking for. Okay, then it's fine. So guys, I'm about to share my screen. Once that is done, share my screen. Once that is done, I will then ask some of you to confirm if you are able to see my screen. I saw the Maalis. Ali the Maalis. This is one of our 2024 learners. I'll make you the co-host because you already know the rules. Let me see who else I can recognize. Oh, there's Mwano. Mwano, I'll also make you the co-host. There is Sinit. Okay. Rebecca Mutlauzi. Okay, these are the other honorable members. Let me see. It looks like my screen is no longer sharing. Let me try to do the share start podcast.
Sir, you're no longer host anymore.
Okay. Only the host can share this meeting. But who's the host now?
You made Moano the host, sir.
Let's see. Oh, I made one of the hosts instead of the co-host, but I think I'm now the host. Okay. Guys, are you able to see my screen? Maybe let me do this so that you can verify if you are able to see my screen.
No, sir, I'm still the host here.
You're still the host. Okay, maybe leave.
Okay.
And then as you leave, if it gives an option to make someone the host, then make me the host.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yes, I see. No, I see. Moano is the host. What do I do now? Reclaim host. Okay, no, Moano is fine. I've just reclaimed the host. No need to leave. But is my screen sharing? No, it's not. It's not. I'll just say stop and then I'll start to share it again. What do I do? Okay, I want to click there and then I want to say share. Click on share, start broadcast. Okay, how about now? Is my screen sharing?
Yes, sir, now it's sharing.
Okay. Before I start with the business of the day, honorable members, I will just unmute all of you. It's fine. Just say something so that I'm confident that you guys are able to speak. Maybe let's say your name. Just say your name or anything in your home language, honorable members. It could be a greeting. Me, I would say Tobela. I know others would say Sanbonani, Minjani, Mikwe, and whatever the case may be. Guys, I just want to make sure that you are able to unmute yourself and you're able to say something. Just testing the audio. Guys, are we okay there? Kuhamba njani? Ngabe konke kuhamba kahle? Yebo noma cha?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Kuhamba
Yes,
kahle.
sir.
Okay. Then I'm going to mute and then I'm going to say no. The reason I'm saying no is so that every time someone joins, they do not disturb because sometimes there is that background noise. Guys, I need, do I need to rotate? Maybe not, it's fine. Okay, guys, this is something that I would like for us to finalize with. So that means at the end of this lesson, being today's lesson, I would like for us to tackle this question, but this is not where we are going to be starting. I will be starting with some introduction, or let me rather say, I'm going to start at the starting point. Remember, guys, sometimes the reason why we struggle with it could be a math problem or whatever the case may be. The reason is because we are not starting at the starting point. It's like, in short, the Maalis. You were born yesterday, and then the next day you want to give a presidential speech. You don't even know how to speak, the honorable member, but already you want to address the masses of our people. So that's not where we start, honorable members. There is a starting point. So just know that every time you do something and it feels a bit difficult, just be aware that it could be that you're not starting at the starting point. And the reason, not necessarily the reason, let me say, because you are going to the next grade, it doesn't necessarily mean that all that you've learned in the past, it's irrelevant, or it doesn't necessarily mean that you know everything from the previous grades. So that is why it's very much important, honorable members, that the moment you make it easier for me to understand what you are struggling with, I will know where is the starting point so that you will understand what you need to understand. Some of the other honorable members are at tertiary and they think tertiary is difficult. And not that it's difficult, but it's because what they had to learn in high school, they did not master that. And that includes the basics, honorable members, which is what I'm hoping to make sure that I emphasize and explain to you. But as you can see that we've already started with the functions, that means the main aim is to make sure that come January, before you guys open schools, you've already mastered the functions, because if you've mastered the functions, honorable members, you are not going to have a stressful time. And one thing for sure, you will at all the times expect in your exam question paper the functions, and they do carry a lot of marks. So very much important that we master those. Maybe let me start by indicating that we've got maybe 4 main types of functions that you must master. Number 1, we can talk about a straight line. Straight line, which is not a complicated one. After a straight line, it has to be a parabola. I know some of you guys would say a parabola, but it doesn't really matter that much. The third one, we can say hyperbola. Yeah. Okay, maybe ER, it doesn't matter. The fourth one is exponential. So I jumped straight line and I went to a parabola. The reason to that is because a straight line, it is not that much complicated. We will learn more about a straight line when we do an exam type of a question which includes a parabola and a straight line. At a later stage, we will then jump onto this. So when I say everything has got a starting point, honorable members, it's because before you can attend to questions similar to this one, where you are given a sketch or a function, before you can tackle this type of a problem, you must first be in a position where you are able to sketch a function. So you must learn how to climb a tree, and then later you can learn on how to get off that tree. So let's first start with the sketching part. How do we sketch, or what process do we follow when we sketch a graph? In this case, a parabola. Let's maybe call that f of x, which is equals to x squared, we minus 5x, we minus 6. Guys, very much important that if you are given this type of a function, you know the type of a function that you are confronted with. So very quickly, maybe let me use this place on the side. Very quickly, a straight line will be something in this format where you have the gradient x plus c. Parabola should be this one where you have ax squared that you plus it with bx plus c. A hyperbola, you have a there over x plus p that you plus it with q. Exponential, you will have a, let's say, b to the exponent x that you plus it by q. For me, it has always been the position of the x that reminds me of the type of a function. You see where x is, which is to the exponent of 1. And this one, it has 2x. And in this one, it has a fraction and x is there at the bottom. And in this one, it has a x at the exponent. That is why it's exponential. So that means even if they give you a function, they say, y is equals to -2, they plus it by 3p. And they say, what type of a function is this? Plot that function. Doesn't matter there whether it's p or x, whatever the case may be, but you know the format of a straight line. You say it is y which is equals to, you need that thing that goes with a gradient, of which in this case the gradient, not necessarily the gradient, but the independent value. In this case is that p. So if you have to rewrite it in that correct format, it will therefore be 3p minus that 2. So that p, it could be x. I just had to use a different letter there and rearrange it just to give an idea. Maybe a different one. It could be y, which is equals to, let's say 3 plus, not even a plus, let's say minus 2x squared plus x. What type of a function is that? So you see, the x is the one that, guys, you have 2x there. It's the same as that one, possibly a parabola. All that you need to do, it is to rearrange it in the standard form. And that way it becomes easier to interpret. So these are the formats of those 4 functions. In today's lesson, we are looking at this type. So this is the process that we need to go through as we plot it, honorable members. Obviously, to find the x-intercepts and the y-intercepts, it doesn't end there, honorable members. It doesn't end there. There will definitely be something that we need to look for. What are those things? Axis of symmetry. Axis of symmetry. I will explain what that is. It doesn't end there, honorable members. We also need to find the turning points. So you can see it's quite a process. It's quite a process to go through when we have to plot a parabola. Most importantly, honorable members, we plot the functions on a Cartesian plane. What is a Cartesian plane? This is a Cartesian plane, honorable members, and if it does not have these things, it's not a Cartesian plane. A vertical x-axis, a horizontal, vertical y, a horizontal x-axis. So you need to indicate x, you need to indicate y, and it must have the origin. This is what we call a Cartesian plane. And we plot functions on a Cartesian plane. And when we plot, we are mainly interested on where the function that we plot touch or cuts the axis. It could be the y-axis, it could be the x-axis. We don't care much about these other parts of the function which are not in contact with the axis. So that means, you see, this point where it touches the y-axis, we refer to that as the y-cut or the y-intercept, meaning that is where it touches the y-axis. And then that will be the x-axis, not the x-cut or the x-intercept. And axis, it is that line, being the x-axis, and then that will be the y-axis. It could be a parabola which has 2 shapes, that shape and that shape. And we do know very well that if our a value is positive, then we have a smiling shape. If our a value is negative, then we have a sad shape. Okay, then it's fine. I will just remove all of that just so that we go through the process of plotting. And then once we do that, we will then at a later stage look at that question where a function is plotted already and they ask us questions based on that plotting. So you guys are on a higher level. That is one point, honorable members. We don't waste time. We get into it straight away. Let me check if we are still together, if we're still okay up to this point. How am I going to do this? Okay, I'll just unmute. Guys, are we all okay? Anyone who's got a question or can I continue? Ungabe konke kuhamba
No
kahle?
question for me, sir.
Bagash.
All good for me, sir.
Bagash.
Good, good days.
Guys.
Ranma Pedi confirmed. Okay, so now let's continue, honorable members or members who are honorable. When we look for the x-intercept and the y-intercept, obviously we know that for the x-intercept, that is where we will say y is equals to 0. And then for this one of the y-intercept, we know that that is where x is equals to 0. So in short, honorable members, I think I have to make this one clear because sometimes it can be confusing. If we have a function which says f of x, this f of x is the same as y. The reason why it is f of x is because the person who derived this equation, his name is Franco. So he had to use the letter f. Why? It's because in a situation where we have more than one graph or one function on a Cartesian plane, we can't call them y. We can't call both of them y. We need to differentiate them so that a parabola can be f of x, a straight line, it can be h of x, meaning Tlogonolo is the one who said that part of the question paper. So Oxalayo, we know that in simple terms, we are dealing with y, which is equals to x squared minus 5x minus 6. So, meaning, if we have to now do the x-intercept, when we say y is equals to 0, so that means where we see y on that function, we put 0 there. You put 0, after putting 0, you write everything else as it is, and then you start solving for the x values, and those would be the x-intercept or the x-cut, or where your function is going to touch the x-axis. Remember, guys, you are not at a stage where we teach you how to factorize. It is expected of you that at this stage you already know how to factorize. So very quickly, let's factorize. Factorizing is doing the opposite of what I was doing with the other honorable members. But obviously, I'm pretty much sure that you do know how to factorize. In case if you do not, you are more than welcome to join the lower grades classes so that you learn these things. So that's why I say you may be at a varsity honorable members, and there will be points where they want you to factorize. And in that level, when you factorize, you might find that the values that you get, they give you the times. They say, okay, we are designing a dam. We want to know that if this river is full and we are drawing water from this river into the dam that we are designing. If we use a pipe of 200 millimeters, which is going to draw water from the river into the dam, how long will it take? Because the dam is big. You can't wait for the dam to be full and then switch off. But you might find that, okay, I need to switch on and then I need to leave, go to the office, and then after how long do you need to come back and switch it off? Then you do those calculations to say, okay, the size of the diameter is 200 millimeters, and then that means every second this amount of water will be pouring into the dam, and this is the size of the dam. That means it's going to take this long for it to get full. So if I start now, then it means I will need to make sure that after 3 hours I must come back. Then you do all of those calculations. But someone who does not know maths, they will have to wait there for the whole day until the dam is full. But you, because you are a bit smarter, you can do some calculations, and then you know that, okay, these are my employees. At 8 o'clock, you switch on, and then from there you go to the farm, you feed my cattle, you do all of this, and then at this time you go deliver that, and then you drop that, and then at this time you must go back to the dam to switch it off. That's how, honorable members, in real life you can use mathematics. And at varsity level, they test you on such things. You do real calculation. So imagine if you don't know how to factorize, and you have to factorize so that you can get the values, and those values you will get positive 10 and negative 3. Already you know that time can never be negative. So that means the negative, it is the not applicable. Then 10, it is your 10 hours, meaning it takes 10 hours to fill the dam. So imagine if you don't know how to factorize, how are you going to know, honorable members? That's where people say engineering is difficult. It's not difficult. You just don't know how to factorize, in simple terms, honorable. And the only way you can know how to factorize, it is to go back to high school and learn how to factorize, not at tertiary, because the lecturer is not there to teach you how to factorize. They want to know how long is it going to take for this dam to fill up if we are using a pipe of this diameter. Or they can say, what can you do if you want it to fill quicker? Or not necessarily put the question that way. Maybe they say, what can you do to make it fill within 3 hours? Then as a mathematician, you need to think, what can I do? Maybe I can increase the size, the number of pipes, or I can use a bigger pipe. Those kind of things, honorable members. So that's why it's very much important that whatever that you learn in the previous grades, you master all of that. Okay, I'm sure you already factorized this one. Let's see, I hope I also won't fail to factorize this one. Maybe 3 and 3 and 2, yeah. And what I know is that the bigger number takes the sign of the middle term. That will be negative. And this other one, it has to be positive, so that when you multiply 2 by 3, it gives you negative. Yes, it's factorized. Then what you do, you take this to equate to 0, take that to equate to 0. So that means you have your x minus 3 equals to 0, or you've got your x that you plus it with 2, it's equals, then x is equals to positive 3. Take the, okay, on this side, our x is equals to negative. These are our x-intercepts, honorable members. So we are done with the first part of plotting the function. That part is done. Now we need to move on to the next part. Okay, moving on to the next part, honorable members, where we are doing the y-intercept, meaning that's where x is equals to 0. So on that same equation, honorable members, it simply means where we see x, we put 0, so that we can know what y is. We put 0 there, minus 6. Trust me, that will be 0, that will be 0. You end up with your y being negative 6. Bese uqedile. The maalis, I'm sure you still remember that. Bese uqedile, it simply means then you are done. Meaning,
Yes, sir.
we are now done with the y-intercept. Then we move on to the axis of symmetry. Guys, it might sound like a fancy word, but very much important to understand what an axis of symmetry is. I always make use of a slice of a bread. A slice of a bread, you say, okay, there you've got a slice of a bread, and this one, it looks like that one for Saskusem. Trust me, honorable members, if you want to cut this such that you won't fight with your little sister. Try to take a toasted bread, marinate it nicely with a rondo there. Maybe on the other side, you can put a peanut butter there, and cut it. Cut it to share with your young. Trust me, if you cut it that way, they're going to moor you, honorable members. They're going to moor you big time. Why? Because it is not cut into two equal halves. The only way you guys won't fight, that's if you cut it into two equal halves. You can cut it like that if you like. Sometimes one can try to be smart and say, maybe let me cut it like this. As long as whichever way you cut it, this side is equals to that side, or this side is equals to that side, then it's fine. So that means this line that cuts it into two equal halves, it is the line that we call an axis of symmetry. This line, it is the line that we call an axis of symmetry. But if you cut it like this, you haven't cut it into two equal halves, meaning this line, it is not the axis of symmetry. So guys, every time a term, it could be in mathematics or physical science, every time a term or a word is introduced, try to understand exactly what it means. It may sound fancy, but it has a meaning and it can be explained. I hope by now everyone fully understand what is meant by an axis of symmetry. The question now is, how do we calculate an axis of symmetry? Guys, an axis of symmetry, very simple to calculate. It has a formula. And the formula says x, it is equals to negative b over 2a. This is the formula to calculate an axis of symmetry. So that means from the given a function, you need to know where is your a, where is your b. If you remember that format, this is where our a is, this is where our b is. At some point, if we will need c, this is where we get our c. So in terms of the values on our given function, we know that we have invisible 1 there. That is our a. Our b, it is that -5. Remember, every number goes with a sign. So that will mean, in this case, we have negative from the formula. What is our b value? It is -5. Always when you have a negative value, put it inside the brackets. Over 2, what is our a value? Invisible 1. I hope that makes sense. Trust me, if you punch it on your calculator, that will cancel with that, and then you have 5 divided by 2 times 1 is 2. So you end up having 5 over 2. That means this is your axis of symmetry. As a mathematician, before you even plot, you already know that your function could be a smiling shape or a sad shape. What is our a value? Is it positive? Yes, it's positive. So that means it's going to be a smiling shape. We just calculated the value for the axis of symmetry. The axis of symmetry, it's going to be that line that cuts this function into two equal halves, meaning this half is equals to that. This is the line of axis of symmetry. Meaning, if we have our Cartesian plane, for example, it could be that. It means this x value there, it is the one which is 5 over 4. Obviously, the y-axis will have to be on that side because it's on the positive side. If our axis of symmetry was -2, that would mean, honorable members, if we have -1 there, -2 there, our axis of symmetry was going to be there. And then if our function is smiling, we just know that it was going to do something, something like that. The turning point must be there at the axis of symmetry so that it cuts it into two equal halves. Hope you get my point on that one, but it's fine. Let me continue. Remember, guys, this lesson is being recorded. In case if you've got some questions, just note them down. We'll give you guys an opportunity to ask me those questions. But for now, let me continue so that you will ask all at once. And if you have a question, just click on that raise button or comment in the comment section, say, I've got a question. Then when I take the questions, I will recognize you. Okay, so now we are done with this part of the axis of symmetry. Now we need to get to the turning point. How are we going to get the turning point? This one also, it's easy, honorable members. So in short, we are doing easy things, but too many times. Or it is a lengthy process of easy things. Do not complicate it, honorable members. It is as easy as it seems.
Sir?
Okay. Yebo.
Sir, there seems that someone has a question.
Someone who's got a question. That is Oneile. Okay. Maybe before I go deeper, let me check Oneile. Where are you, Oneile? Where are you hiding? Okay, there's Oneile. Let me do that. Oneile, go for it, honorable member.
Sir, I wanted to ask if the axis of symmetry equation only works for a parabola.
Oh yes, I hear you. Is it when we are comparing with other equations? I mean other functions. Oneile. Where's that? Let me just verify that before I make an assumption. Oneile, don't mute yourself for now. I just want to verify, are you asking in comparison to other functions?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then it's fine. Maybe very quickly, let's say when it comes to a straight line, they will never ask you regarding an axis of symmetry. So that means there won't be an axis of symmetry for a straight line. We already know it is there for a parabola, and it has a formula being negative b over 2a. Okay, what about a hyperbola? Yes, a hyperbola, it does has an axis of symmetry, but that axis of symmetry, it is being done or calculated differently. We do not use this formula. And then when it comes to exponential, you can see how we plot it. It also doesn't have that axis of symmetry. It's like you can't cut it like this and say this side will be equal. It's difficult to find that because it just keeps on continuing up to infinity. Unlike this one, we just know that even though it continues up to infinity, but at this point where it tends, this is where we can cut it such that this half is equals to that half. Then when it comes to a hyperbola, you can have that side there and that side there. Then the axis of symmetry, that's if you cut it right there, because we will see that, okay, how am I going to explain this? We can just say this part of it, it is equal or the same as this part of it. So that's how we cut this into two equal halves. Again, you can still cut it like that. So that means it is a straight line in that way, or in that way in which you can cut a hyperbola into two equal halves. But we don't use that formula. We use something different, which we're going to look. Why is it like something disappeared? I don't want to know about that. Guys, are we still okay? It looks like something disappeared on my side. And I wonder if I'm disconnected or if it is just where I'm writing. The Alice Muano.
Sir, I don't
Okay,
see
I
any
need to
issues so far.
Maybe it's where I was writing. It was my budget. So say that means the formula for x of that. Okay. I have a question about the negative that and how the factorizing ended up that. Okay, so say that means this formula of x apply for parabola. Yes, that is correct. The Mutlongos, okay. So the Mutlongos, maybe let me check. Is it everyone who understands that part of the factorization? I will just unmute, just answer, just say yes or no. Yes or no, that's all that I need. Do you understand the factorization part?
Yes,
No.
sir.
Yes, sir.
No.
Yes, sir.
No.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Oh.
Okay. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It is not only the Mhlongus who is interested in understanding the factorization part. Okay, then it's fine. But in short, Uneile, I think I did answer your question. And then, yes, it is this formula that we use for the parabola when we calculate the axis of symmetry. It only works for a parabola when we calculate the axis of symmetry. Then when it comes to the factorization on honorable members, this is a very serious topic, and what is it? If you do not know how to factorize, it's going to be a big problem. And never feel ashamed of not knowing how to factorize. It could be many factors, honorable members. Sometimes it could be that your teacher assumed that you understood how to factorize or you understand how to factorize. Sometimes it could be that you did not think it is that much important to know how to factorize. But what I like about mathematics is that some things you can done in reverse. Some things you can done in reverse. The Alice, if I want my final values to be 1 or let me switch on that, or another value to be 2. This is how they set questions, honorable members. If examiner wants your final answer to be 1 or 2, then they work it out in reverse, going up. So that means before it could be that it must be inside the brackets x minus 1 equals to 0, because they know you're going to take 1 to the other side, it becomes positive. Similarly, here, they know that you are going to take that 2 to the other side. That's why they put it in the brackets with the opposite sign. So that means before this step, they know you must have something similar to this. Meaning, this is where you have your x that, this is where you have your x that. Before you can have this step, you must have done that by that, that by that, that by that, that by that. Meaning x times x, that is x squared, x times negative 2, it is negative 2x, x times that, it is negative x, and then negative 1 times negative 2, it is positive 2. Obviously equals to 0. And then to work out the like terms, you end up having x squared. You work out this, it gives you negative 3x, and then you have your plus 2 there, it's equals to 0. This is what they give you in exam, and they want you to factorize. That's if you are in grade 8, 9, maybe 10. They give you that and they say factorize. They know that this is everything that you must go through until you end up with these answers. But because you guys are professors already, they no longer just give you as it looks. They integrate it into the function. They give it to you and they say, this is a function. And now you need to factorize it. And you have to go through that process and you need to get your final answers. Then you need to plot it. And you don't only do that, you still need to find the y-intercept, the axis of symmetry, and then the turning points. So you can see, that's why I was saying we're doing too many of simple things. And all of these things you have done already, possibly from grade 8. So for those of you who then are struggling with factorization, this is how they set questions related to factorizations, or this is how they set questions related to functions. So now we have worked it out in that way. So when you factorize, it means you work it out in that direction. There are two ways in which you can work it out. And this is what I'm going to say, honorable members. Please, I am begging you. On WhatsApp, I might have communicated with your parents on WhatsApp, but just send me a WhatsApp inbox to say I need a factorization lesson so that I know that when I do a lesson that involves factorization, I will then make sure that you attend that lesson. Because at this stage, you guys are professors. We are not really training you on how to factorize, but we are training you on how to plot a function. So please make sure to send me a WhatsApp inbox to say, please include me in the factorization lesson. And I am pretty much sure that is the new learners who will need this lesson, because all the 2024 learners, they've mastered this thing of factorize. So these are the two ways you can use. Some of you, it's going to be a new formula, I think. X, it's equals to negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac, all of this divided by 2a. So you remember most from that standard equation. Maybe let's say y is equals to, I will just use this example of x squared minus 3x plus 2. How do we use this formula? So that means on this formula, every time where you see a, just know it is that invisible one. Everywhere you see b, it is your -3. Everywhere you see c is that. So that means to use this formula, say negative, what is your b? -3. Plus or minus, it simply means you will do this thing 2 times. You start with a plus, you get an answer, you write it down. You punch it again, or you edit the plus sign, you put a minus, and then you get the second answer. That's how you get the 2 factors. What is your b? -3 minus 4. It's a number on the formula a, it's 1. What is your c? Is 2 over 2. What is your a? It is 1. If you punch this on your scientific or your sharp calculator, it will give you an answer. One of the answers will be those. You might find that when you put a plus there, maybe let's say it gives you 1. When you put a minus there, maybe it gives you what is it, 2, something of that nature. So that's how you get these factors. Another way which they teach in the lower grades, this is where they say you multiply the a value with the c value, which is 1 multiplied by 2, it gives you 2. Then you say, you ask yourself, what 2 values can end up giving you that middle value? Trust me, 1 and 2, they can end up giving you that middle value. And at the same time, when you multiply those values, they give you 2. So in short, I'm saying, okay, that means the factors I'm going to use 1 and 2. 1 and 2. All that you need to master is the signs. Am I going to put a plus or a minus there, a plus or a minus there? How do you know? Between these two values, the big one takes the sign of the middle term. So 2 is big, you are going to have a minus there. And then if you have a positive there, it automatically forces you to have a minus there. So that when you say -2 times -1, it takes you back to that, that +2. I think I'm taking a shortcut in explaining all of this. And the reason to that is because the lesson was not necessarily meant for this, because an assumption is that at the level where you are, it is assumed that you already know how to factorize. That's all I'm saying. If you do not know how to factorize, I'm going to invite you in that lesson where I simplify factorization. Let me check if that helped. Okay, I see. Okay, I see. Then what I'm going to do, it is to continue for now, and then once I'm done with, because I'm getting to the TP, once I'm done with the TP, then I will take some more questions, and then we plot. After plotting, very quickly, we can just browse through this to check what is it that they want, how you can work it out, how does it relate to what we have done. Then as we go deeper, we will get some more questions related to parabola and deal with those questions. Most importantly, not everything that I say today has to make sense, honorable members. Even if it doesn't make sense, do not worry that much. That's how we start. There will be a point where now things are starting to make sense. And at that stage, you're going to be more advantageous as compared to others because you know what is involved in this type of things. Just be there. Okay, so I think the most important question that I had was with regards to this formula, if it is applicable to a parabola only. Yes. And based on that reason that a parabola, it can be cut into 2 equal halves at the turning point. So now, this is how we are going to calculate the turning point. How are you going to calculate the turning point? You just take the original formula. You see that original formula that we were given. You see that original formula that we were given. We just take it as it is. Where we see x, we substitute our axis of symmetry. So that means we had to first calculate our axis of symmetry so that we can use it to find the turning point. So that means as you plot, you can't start with the turning point. You start with the axis of symmetry so that you can use it to calculate or to the value for the turning point. So you punch all of that on your calculator. What does it give you? Very quickly, let me check. Okay, so you have that, and that. Is it -49/4? I think so. If you punch all of that on the calculator, it gives you that. So can you see? Now you've completed the necessary steps for plotting. The first part being that one of the x-axis, the x-intercept. The second part being the y-intercept. The third part being the axis of symmetry, and the fourth part being finding the turning point. Let me explain why you use this x value to find that one. I will just try to quickly draw something there, just so that you've got an idea of why we use that. Maybe it will help you not to forget, because everything in maths, it has explanation. If there is something that was explained and you do not understand, or you would like more information on it, it's possible to elaborate. So let's say, for example, we have a said shape. This is where we have our axis of symmetry. So can you guys see, if our axis of symmetry is 2, where is the turning point? Where is the turning point of that function of f? This is the turning point. The turning point is where the function turns, honorable members. It is as simple as that. So the coordinates for the turning points, we will need the x value at the turning point. Automatically, this axis of symmetry, it is your x value for the turning point. Always, it doesn't matter. Even if it's like that, honorable member, if your axis of symmetry, when you calculate it, you got it to be -3, automatically, the coordinates for your turning point, already the x value, it is that -3. Even if it's that type of a shape, already, honorable members, in terms of your x values, the x value of the turning point, it is the x value of that. All that you need to know, it is the corresponding y value, which will be positive for that one. All that you need to know, the corresponding y value. For this one, it is the corresponding y value. So that is why we are going to use this value to substitute in the original equation, so that we know what is the corresponding y value. So I'm just explaining the reason why when we find the turning point, we use the x value of the axis of symmetry. So once you have all this information, then you can now go ahead and start with the plotting. Already we know that we are having a smiling shape. And already we know that this thing as a decimal is 2.5 most. That means our axis of symmetry is on the positive side. And what was our y-intercept? Okay, it's a -6. And then we have +3 and that. Okay, so to plot, I think I've got an idea of how it will possibly look like. It's going to be -1, -2 on this side. -2, that is the x value. We have 1, 2, 3. This is the other x-intercept. Is these values that you factorized? You see those ones? I start with those ones. So I know that my function is going to cut the x there and then another x there at 3. Now I move on to the next one. The next part is where I calculated the y-intercept, which is what? -6. So that means I'm going to be having -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6. So that means it is going to touch that there. So now, what about the axis of symmetry? The axis of symmetry, it was 5/2 as a decimal is 2.5. So that means if this is 1 and this is 2, then it's somewhere there. Yeah. I hope I'm doing it correctly. I hope I'm doing it correctly. There is a big mistake. There is a big mistake, and I think I understand why I had that question. Then my Alice, it's fine. On behalf of everyone, can you verify that mistake? Omwano, can you
Sir,
verify that mistake?
yes, sir. The mistake is that it's not supposed to be 2 and 3. It's supposed to be negative. It's supposed to be -1 and 6, because I also did it using the
Yeah.
quadratic formula, and it still gave me -1 and 6. So the 2 and 3, it was
Yes.
not making sense at all, sir.
Yes, that's 100%. I did notice that mistake. I just noticed it now, and I wonder why. Maybe let me check something, because I was doing a lesson with the other honorable members where we were doing these things of factorizing, expanding, and all of that, the values probably come from there. Okay, so that means we are all on the same page in terms of factorizations. Then let me quickly
Yes.
correct that. Let's see, it will have to be 5 and 1. The bigger number takes the sign of the middle
No.
term. Maybe positive 1 there.
So,
No,
so
no,
it'll be
not
negative
that.
6 and it'll be negative 6 and positive 1.
Yes, negative 6 and positive 1 there, negative 6 there, positive 1 there, and then we end up having a positive 6 there and then a 1 there. Yes. So also the reason why I just noticed now that it doesn't make sense, it's because if I have my axis of symmetry there and I have to plot, it just won't work. Because you can see that this part on the left, it's bigger or it's more compared to the part on the right. So very quickly, I will need to then verify, not necessarily verify, but correct that part. And then let me do that. Okay, so this is what has happened. So I'm going to make an assumption that the honorable member who asked about factorization, they just noticed my mistake, but they were not sure if I've done it correctly or not. So at all the times, this is the message that goes to the new honorable members. At all the times, if you see something or you feel like it's a mistake, I also do mistakes, honorable members. Sometimes I do on purpose, sometimes it's a genuine mistake. But this one, it was a mistake from my side. It's not a mistake that I did on purpose to check if you are attentive. So in case if you can see that this is completely off, it is a mistake, honorable members. Not everything that I do may be correct, but one thing for sure, at some point we are able to notice that something is wrong, just like I've noticed now. So very quickly, let me try to rectify that. Wait, what did we say? Is it negative? No, positive that, and then x is -1. Okay, so that means we are going to have -1 there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 6 there. Guess what? Now I think it is starting to make sense. Because if we are having our x-intercept there, then we should be fine. Okay, and then now in terms of obviously we know this is our y card. What about our turning points? Okay, our turning point, already we know that we are having our 2,5 being 5/2. So what is -49 divided by 4 as a decimal? 12.5. 12.5. Okay, so that means -7, -7, 8, -9, -10, -11, -12.25, somewhere there. Okay, so that means it's going to be somewhere there. So can you see, these are the 4 points that we need in order to sketch that. Then all that we do is just to connect these dots, and it has to turn there. So at marking center, this is where you score the marks very quickly. Let me explain that one very quickly. This is where you score the marks. The x-intercept, that's where you score a mark. The y-intercept, you score a mark. And most importantly, the TP being the turning point, you score a mark. And then what else? They look at the shape of your function. Then you score your marks. These are the most important parts of your function that is being looked at. I hope that makes sense, honorable members. Maybe let me check. Guys, are we all on the same page? So for the previous, that, isn't it that? Yeah, I see. That is Siba, that is that. Okay, guys, here comes a question. Are we all on the same page up to this point?
Yes, sir.
In something, let me say ask all.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. There is a good question by Chloe. Chloe wants to know the plotting part of the axis of symmetry. And the axis of symmetry, okay, how do you plot it? So it's just that for this example, it gives the decimals. Let's say, for example, we had to calculate the axis of symmetry. Maybe for a different function, we do it, we find it to be 2, nay. And then we take this 2, we substitute on the original formula to get the turning point. And then we get, let's say, 5. So when it comes to the plotting part, you will just say your TP being your turning point. It means you must look at a point where X it is 2 and then where Y it is 5. Then you will say if you have 1, you have 2. That means this is where your axis of symmetry is. You look on where you have your Y as 5. So that means you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that means it has to be there. So this is where now your TP is, where X is 2 and then where Y is 5. Then depending on your x-intercepts and then your y-intercept, then you already know how to find those. You just connect them to your turning point. But your turning point is just that point in a quadrant. Sometimes it can still be on the axis. For example, it can turn there. But otherwise, you just need to say, my turning point, you write them in a form of a coordinates and say you're going to have a point or plot a point where X it is that and then your Y is that. Maybe let me check with a Chloe. That was a very good question because the example that we are given, it has some decimals. So that's why it's a bit confusing. No, is the decimal answer of that? Yes, I think Bali agree with me. Chloe, Chloe, does it make sense, honorable member?
Yes,
I'm
I
not sure if
done.
Chloe is good.
Yes, sir.
100%. Who's that other one? This Bali, no, is the decimal of that. Mbali, let me check what you mean by that, just so that we're on the same page. Where is Mbali? There is Mbali. Mbali, uvumelana nami lapha.
Yes, sir.
Good test. Then it's fine, honorable members. No, not that. I want to meet all of you. Okay, very quickly, I think for the next 10 minutes, we can just brainstorm. We will therefore look into to help you, honorable members. I've got something summarized there, but it's fine. Maybe let me explain that in the end. Okay, let's look at this activity and then very quickly just try to browse through. I will explain for the sake of time. Okay, the sketch represents the graph of the parabola given by f of x equals 2 minus that. So can you guys see? They're trying to be tricky here. But what we know is that this thing in the standard form, it is actually y, which is equals to negative x squared minus x plus 2. That is how it is in the standard form. Now they're saying points A, I'm mostly interested in the 4 points. And those 4 points are the 2 x-intercepts, 1 y-intercept, and the turning point. Trust me, this is a reverse of what we did on honorable members. So can you now see, determine the coordinates of A, B, and C. You just need to know, Asa, that A is the x-intercept, C is the x-intercept, B, it is the y-intercept. The only way you can do it, it is to take this thing and factorize it. You need to take this and factorize it. So can you see, if you do not know how to factorize, so once you factorize, you will have your 2 values, the other one being a negative value, the other one being a positive value. And then now, when it comes to B, obviously B, we know that at B, it is the y-intercept. Obviously, that is 0. Then you put 0 where you see that, and then you're going to get your answer, possibly 2. Again, as you factorize, we already know that for the x-intercepts, this is 0, y is 0. So that means that is why on that equation, you equate it to 0, and then you start factorizing all of that. Wait, if I have to guess those values, can I even guess? Very quickly, what will be the factors? Maybe let's see. Obviously, it's going to be positive x, and then positive x, and then minus 2. X, and then we're going to have 2, and obviously 1, maybe positive 2 minus 1 there. And then the other x will be negative 2, the other x will be positive 1. Intercept will be that, and then the other one will be that. You can try to factorize by using the formula, or you can try use your head there. Just make sure that you don't have too many, but in your case, you will get it right. I think on that one, I had an example similar to that when I was doing with the other honorable members. So those values, they probably came from there, because they are not even close to what we had to factorize there. Okay, so I think it's done. Yes, no, it's done. We have our A there, we have our B there, we have our C there. So that's how you would determine the coordinates of A, B, and C, by just doing a reverse of what we did. So now they say determine the coordinates of the turning point being D. So can you see a good question asked to say, do we use a formula for the years? This is where you use that formula. But you need to be careful of what the question wants. Does the question want the axis of symmetry or the turning? It is the turning point, but there's no way you can find the turning point without knowing the axis of symmetry. There's no way. So that means you will first need to know what is the x. So what is our b? Our b is -1 divided by 2. Our a also, I think, is -1. So that means this negative will cancel with that negative, and then you have that negative 1/2. So you end up having -1/2. So that means your axis of symmetry is -1/2. Then you take this exactly as it is, you put it in the original equation. Once you put it in the original equation, it is going to give you the corresponding y value of the turning point there. Already you have 7 marks. And then this type of questions, where you are given the smaller marks, I will train you on how you deal with this type of questions. For example, this one which says, write down the equation of the axis of symmetry of this thing. So in short, it's like they're saying you shift the axis of symmetry by that value. What will be the new axis of symmetry? What will be the new axis of symmetry if you shift it by this so many units? I don't want to confuse you now, but at a later stage, as or when we go deeper, we will look into those type of questions. And also this one where they say determine the value of x for which this thing is wara wara. These are some of the questions that you stress about at a later stage, once you've mastered the part of the calculations, because these questions will depend on you getting the correct answers. But if you get the wrong answers, you can just forget about these other questions. Okay. Very quickly, let me show you what I've got for you there, honorable members. This is very much important because it helped me to determine equations of quadratic equation. It doesn't matter how it is given. For example, we are saying if you are given the x-intercept and 1 point, this is the formula that you use when you determine an equation of a parabola. I will teach you on how you use that formula. But what if you are given the turning point and 1 point? In that case, you no longer use this formula, but you use this one. Because I know that this is what most of you guys are struggling with, especially when it has to do with determining the equation of a quadratic function. You don't know how you work it out based on the information that you are given. So here we summarize it to say, if they gave you the x-intercepts and 1 point, you use that formula. Then I will train you on the steps, which is being explained. They will do it in practice. And then if you are given the turning point and 1 point, you follow those. Easy stuff. It may look difficult when it's given in words, but as we do it, it's going to make it some more sense. Then, if you are given the coordinates of 3 points, just any 3 points, then this is the formula that you use. And this is what we're going to be looking at on our next lesson, of which I hope you guys will make it to that lesson, because once you miss a lesson, you will definitely fall behind, honorable members. We need to make sure that come term 1, all these things, we know them. And not just know, but we also understand all of them. Okay, guys, ngicabanga ukuthi siqedile manje. Ungathi ngiqedile manje. Now I need to run away. Ask Kotan. Guys, can I run away? But wait. Sinit, are we okay there, honorable member?
Yeah.
Sinit, I think I saw Sinit, but yeah, she has disappeared.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, sir.
Oh yes, you are there. Okay.
How are
The
you,
other
sir?
members, hi, me, I'm good. I'm wondering if you are okay there. Are we okay up to this point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir. Sir.
Yes.
I was just wondering, are they going to most matrics for last year?
Wait. Wait, I don't know what I did there. What I want to do. Okay. No, it's fine. It's fine. What do I want to do? Wait. Okay, Sinit. No, it's fine. We'll attend to that. We will attend to that. But maybe before, we are all okay, Mos, before other questions. We are all okay on the content, nay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Then it's fine. Sinit, you were saying something, honorable member. I think for now, I want to stop the recording because, no. I don't know what's going on there. Stop sharing. Okay, otherwise it's fine, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. Some more questions, we can discuss those at a later stage, but I think, yeah, it's time up. Guys, let me just run